All right, here we are back again with the Radiant Evolution Collective. I'm Aurora Light. I'm here with my beautiful soul sisters, Radiant Soul Nicole and Nina Infinity. And we love to just chat about whatever is on the collective energy field and what's coming up for us in this now on Mondays. And we're going to be talking about magnetism today, but in relationship to your soul essence expression and how magnetic AF it is when you are just you and you let all the things that aren't you, that you've been told are you, fall away. All the stories, the old programs, the belief systems, the things that your parents said, the things that came even through in your lineage. When you allow yourself to release the things you are not and step fully into shining the radiant light of who you are, and just how quickly things will shift, opportunity will come to you. The soul family will find you because they can feel you when you're being you, right? When you're speaking from your unique voice, when you are sharing your unique gifts, but even when you're not doing anything at all. It doesn't have to be a doing that people are seeing. It's a feeling, it's an emanation, it's an energy, it's an essence. So yeah, let's talk about being magnetic AF as yourself and how that supports your manifestation magic.
I'm still getting all the things set up here. Sorry, I am all done now. My computer is slow, so I was using the little scrolly thing instead of the mouse, and it takes way longer to do it that way. But I'm all good now. um, hmm. I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question again? Because I have lost that train of thought.
It wasn't a question, it was an opening. It was a platter saying, when you are yourself, you are magnetic AF, right? But you had a really amazing thought, Nicole, before we went live about how your desires can support you in understanding who you are, what your soul essence is, and aligning with that. And that can really support the manifestation process and the whole magnetic AF experience.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for that, for explaining all of that, summarizing all of that again for me. Yeah, so our desires are like the guide. That's how we can find out who we really are, by connecting in with what you desire. That is that core essence of your beingness, I think, is what your desires are. And I think we've been trained in society that we have to do things so that we can get something, and we follow different, I don't know, timelines and trajectories that are like set out for us often, not all the time, but often. And because we don't know who we actually are, we may know like maybe what brands you like, or like what design style you like, or things like that. But actually learning who you are is a journey, and it takes trying on a lot of things. And sometimes it's confusing, like, where do I even start? How do I even, I've heard this so many times, how do I even know who I am? I don't know. Like, if you can you describe yourself without saying the things that you like or your personality traits? It's like, if I can really describe who I am, it's not, there's no words, it's just connecting in with this beingness, my presence, that divinity that is within this beautiful body of mine. And mm, and saying all of that, having our desires and really connecting with what those are can be little clues so that we can understand who that we really are. Because if you're doing something, if you have these desires and you follow those, and those, when I speak of desires, I'm also talking about feelings. So how do you desire to feel in your life? And when I used to hula hoop, it made me feel so many, well, I still hula hoop, but when I used to do it more regularly, it was so important part of my life, because not only was it good exercise and it was fun and it made me feel like creative, it filled so many needs in my life, and the needs of like, and these are needs, play and connection and joy and all of these different things. And it really helped me fulfill and feel my core desired feelings, which are thriving, flow, connection, and bliss. And once I recognized that that's what I desired to feel in my life, I could find those different things in different ways. And I didn't need to just be doing hula hooping. I could start to look for those feelings and those of my desires in different ways in my life, and notice that they were already there a lot of the time. And I didn't have to, I no longer needed to wait for something to happen to be happy. I just got to focus on how I could feel those right now, how they were already showing up in my life, which lifted my vibration and made me feel happy and fulfilled now. And then I was able to use that upward spiral to continue to create more and more. And now this life that I'm living, I'm so grateful for, because this is what I dreamed of 10 years ago. There was like parts of me that were so I felt so lost. I didn't know what I didn't know what I was good at. I didn't know what I wanted to do, except I knew that I didn't want to be doing what I was doing anymore, but I didn't know how to get there. And giving myself that anchor and that goalpost or that guidepost of figuring out what my desires are, I was able to, over time, create this amazing life where I am having that fulfillment all the time, and I don't need to look outside of myself. And do things to be happy other than, maybe going for a walk in the forest, because that does make me feel thriving, flow, connection, and bliss. So that's kind of also a little summary of the workshop that I gave in our membership, the playground, on Saturday. But I went through a process where I helped people discover their own desires and so that they can start to use that to amplify their manifestation and creation power, and also find fulfillment in their life now. And it's also like this permission slip that you get for yourself, because if you should all over yourself because you think you should be doing something different and you're not aware of what you actually desire, then you're making yourself wrong for being you. And when you're not making yourself wrong for being you, and you can give yourself permission to be like, oh, this is actually so important to me to feel thriving, and you do the things that make you feel thriving, and you can do it in your own way, that's really how you start to become, that authentic version of yourself, that beingness. And you can start using that to, well, yeah, manifestation magic, all those things.
I loved what you were saying about how it's already, those feelings that you were desiring to feel, those were already present in your life, and it was about excuse me, throat clearing, expression. It was about attuning your awareness to noticing where those things show up in your life. And that is so beautiful, because when we focus on something, when we identify, these are the things that I want to experience, these are the things that I want to feel, and then we tell that part of our brain, the reticular activating system, the RAS, which is the filter that helps to pick out information from around us, because there's so much information. It's that filter that tells us, that picks out what to focus on based on what we tell it to focus on. You were telling it to focus on looking for those feelings, and then therefore you experience more of it in your reality, and you realize there was more of it in your current reality than you noticed before. So I love that you were sharing about that, and just to give us even like another beautiful reminder and more meaning to what we focus on expands. And then what you were saying too is, like, as you were focusing on it, you were creating more of it, more opportunities. And as you were doing that, you were creating a bigger file folder for all of the experiences that you were having. And then, in those times when you're maybe not feeling those things, your brain can go, oh, I felt it back when I was in the forest. I felt it when I was hula hooping. And it can go through and check through those, like, that cache file of those times that you felt it before, and it can give you more opportunities to expand in those feelings again. And then rather than saying like, oh, I should go for a walk in the forest, you can think, oh, like, it makes that connection. Oh, I feel thriving when I go for a walk. So rather than it being like, oh, shoulding, and putting like a long to-do list in front of you where you're like, I have to do all this self-care, which we talked about last week. I have to do all this self-care in this exact way. You're basically making the connection of like, what's the why? What's the why that I'm going to go for a walk? What's the why that I'm going to hula hoop? And that helps us to be more in that flow of the nurturing self-care and the self-love practices that we all need and deserve.
I love all that as well, because really for me, what I wanted to talk about is to find your soul essence. It's about dropping everything that you are not, that you've been told to. And I think for a lot of us, we are not super clear on what we actually want, because there's social programming from society, the things you should have, the things your parents want for you, and they can be at odds, right? And that creates a lot of inner conflict and inner turmoil. And you might be able to create, society's ideal picture of the job, the kids, the house, the dog, and then I know many, many people who achieved all of that, and then they still felt empty and broken inside, and then they had to go through a whole spiritual awakening and journey to go, what is it that I actually want here? Because all of the things that I thought I should have aren't actually making me happy. There's so much that we don't even notice that we're programmed to believe that we should do. It's not until you start becoming aware of the amount at which you should on yourself. So this is something that I want to throw into everybody's field here, is starting to just be aware of the word should. It sounds a lot like the other one, right? Shoulding on yourself, right? Throwing excrement and feces, which of course you can transmute into manure and turn into something really valuable. You can take it and you can transform it. But when you're shitting all over yourself, it contracts the energy field. And I've probably spoken about this before, maybe even last week. I have no idea with time, but I am noticing it more quickly with people now. The second that will come out of their mouths, it's like they deflate like a balloon, because the soul doesn't want to do things that it doesn't want to do anymore. It's gotten some tastes of what it feels like to do the things that it actually wants to do. And so it's like it leaves this energetic distaste on the whole field right now. And let me know if you've been noticing that. As soon as you're like, I should go do this, like, you're like, or is that just me? Like, I'm noticing it so quickly, which is great because it's a beautiful guidance system. Because here's the thing, sometimes we don't actually know what we want. So we require the contrast. We require looking at what we don't want. And then that can give us clarity and go, okay, this is not working. What would be better than this? What's the opposite of that? Is it that I want? Do I want the opposite, or do I want something like adjacent, something related? For so many people, the dream for so long, the dream was to get a house, right? Buy a house. And then I know so many people who bought their houses and are in deep regret because they feel trapped. They feel like they're not in the right space. Nicole, actually, you were speaking into this recently about, like wanting to move, but it's just not feasible right now. So there's a lot of the dreams of society that might be at odds with what your soul essence is asking you for. Maybe you're someone who loves being a householder. That's amazing. I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking to someone like me who for many, many, many years has gone without purchasing a house, even though I had the financial means to do it, because I wanted to buy freedom with the rent I was paying. Because for me, one of my intrinsic core soul essence values is freedom. If I feel tied down, I feel like everything else is going to crumble around me. I can't breathe when I feel like things are too constricting. So through trial and error, I have learned that that is something that is true to my soul, right? In order to feel free, I have to have this ability to move, to leave, to travel, even if I don't choose to. Even if I choose to stay in the same city for 10 years, I still love the idea of just being able to up and move anywhere in the world. So it feels a little bit tangential, but the soul desires, if you're not sure what they are, sometimes you can just look at what is not feeling great and explore from that point, like boomerang.
I'm reminded of the phrase, contrast creates clarity, or I heard a new one recently, polarity creates clarity. And we use a technique called Leafy Patterning in the playground, and Aurora is a practitioner of Leafy Patterning. And I noticed myself when I was driving to an appointment this morning, noticing myself feeling a little bit frustrated and irritated. And so I started speaking my way through the Leafy Patterning statements. And I was like, what would I like to feel instead? And what came through was content and ease. Sometimes when we're feeling in the ick, we might not be able to make the full 180-degree pivot in that moment. So I was like, yeah, content and ease feels good for me in this moment. And I can take that baby step and then continue to move forward as I kind of take the next step up and up and up to the ideal desired feeling. And I used the irritation, the frustration to point me towards shifting that vibration, to shifting the feeling. And I talked my way through it. And then I ended up, while I was driving, connecting to Gaia, connecting to source, turning on my sparkle field, and I felt great by the time I got to my appointment in 10 minutes. So I didn't allow myself to stay in it. And then the other piece I'm forgetting about the process is it all started by me saying, is this even mine? And this is something we talk about often, and it's such a powerful tool. Yesterday, I was feeling some ick, and I asked if it was in mine, and it was no. And I just returned it to sender with love. And it was very fast that transition happened. I actually was hugging a tree at that moment. So the tree very greatly supported me in grounding, supporting, and anchoring back into my alignment. And then today when I was driving, it was is this even mine? I was like, some of it is mine and some of it isn't. Okay, what am I going to do with it? So we get a chance to ask at first, is it even yours? Because if it's not, then you can let that go pretty easily. If it is yours, there's something there that's asking to be transmuted. And in my case, it was well, what would I rather feel instead? And what is it pointing me towards? So it's just such a powerful tool to bring into our existence. That polarity creates clarity. Especially out in the world, we're seeing a lot of things that we would not prefer. We can ask ourselves, what would we like instead? And then that's when the magic happens, because we're getting clear on what we want to create. And also then we're also putting that into our reticular activating system. We're putting that into the filter. We're programming the computer, the amazing brain that we have. We're programming that filter and saying, yeah, I want more of this. I want more content. I want more ease. I want more thriving. I want more freedom. And that beautiful brain is going to help to show us spaces and places where we can create more of that. And then also, we might also see more of the areas where things aren't in alignment in our lives. We are in Scorpio season right now, and this is an opportunity to go into the depths and into the shadows and into the darkness, but that's not bad stuff. It's actually awesome, because when it comes to the light, it gives us an opportunity to see it and to transmute it and to love it. These shadows, when we talk about shadow work, we're really talking about the parts of ourselves that we would rather hide or keep away from other people, or the parts of ourselves that sometimes we judge or we shut on ourselves that we shouldn't be that way. But we get to, when they come to light, we get to actually love them more and have more compassion for ourselves, the way that we would a child. If a young child came to us, like my baby niece or Aurora or Nicole's beautiful daughters, we would be super compassionate and understanding with them. So I love to use that as an analogy of like, oh, how can I treat myself like that? Because the shadow stuff, the things that we'd rather hide, a lot of those things were, created or seeded, I guess you could say, in our childhood years. So it is our inner child that's coming up and speaking to us and asking for that like presence, the love, and the healing. And yeah, so what a time it is to have these different things show up for us. And because they're coming up for us, it's not happening to us, as we talked about in previous weeks, it's coming up for us so that we can transmute and shift. And as we clear that stuff, we create so much more space for the magic that wants to flow through us and the magic that wants to pour through us. And then we become more magnetic.
I just want to speak into what Tiffany wrote in the comments here about destroying and uncreating the dissonance of hard opposites, because they were swinging too hard on opposites, chasing what they wanted and running from what they don't, right? So I love that you're saying no more chasing, no more running, just being. And that you were speaking into that, Tiffany, exactly when Nina was saying, sometimes we can't go all the way there. Or when we swing too hard into the opposite, then there's an equal and opposite reaction, and it's really hard on the body. So we do have the opportunity to be gentle with ourselves and understand that we can have a goal, a desire, a dream, something we're manifesting, but it doesn't have to be happening in like one day, 1 week, even a year, right? We get to move through it with the organic timing that actually works for our bodies and for our nervous system. And honestly, I think that's one of the things I'm seeing the most in everybody's field right now is they're going like, I don't want this in my life. If they don't know what they want, then they might just get stuck in that place, right? So you can do the work. What would I like instead? What would feel good in this moment? But a lot of them go, I really want this, and I want it right now, and I'm feeling my soul desire is actually a totally different life than the one I'm living. And this happened so much over the pandemic, right? People are like, oh my gosh, the great resignation. I can't work this 9-to-5 capitalist corporate BS stuff anymore. I can't do this. I need to be out on the farm, or I need to be an entrepreneur. I need to do this. And then there is more dissonance, more strife, more struggle, because they want it to change right now. And if it doesn't happen immediately, even though they're taking a few steps, they're going, I should be doing this faster. It's not working. Why can't I manifest this life that I want? And feeling stuck or like there's something wrong with them. Let me know in the comments, even if you're on the replay, if this has been you lately. Do you feel like you've got the big dream and like you can't get there fast enough? We all have to take a collective deep breath and remember that we are on a physical planet where shifts happen first energetically. And then they happen on that mental realm where we have to believe that it's possible. And then we can physicalize it through our actions. And it takes freaking time. And it's supposed to. Yes, we've got instant manifestation and things can happen more quickly than they could have in the past. This is true. And yet, if we go too quickly, we're building on a house of cards too. There has to be foundations laid. There has to be stability created. And when people try to skip to the end result, not only is that house of cards going to fall down, right? And like the manifestations, creations don't last, but also you're robbing yourself of the whole damn point, which is the journey, the experience, right? So there's got to be this paradoxical consciousness, as there is in basically everything that is even slightly spiritual. We get to take a moment to enjoy and appreciate the journey, not a moment, the whole thing. Enjoy and appreciate the journey while still being excited and looking forward to what it is that we're creating. And so that ties it back into what Nicole was saying of going, what do I want, right? But how can I find that in this now, instead of saying it's only over here at my final destination? This is the secret sauce. It's like what you want is what you actually already have, because it is you. And I'm not talking about the physical things. I'm talking about the energetic frequencies, right? For me, it's freedom and movement and joy and fun, like all of that stuff. But that's not a destination. That's my soul essence. So when I just go, where do I have that in me right now? And then look to see, is this already in my life? Then it's already there and I'm not missing anything along the way. So wrapped up, we just kind of went through the whole cycle of how you can do it, but a lot of people are missing that middle part, right? And they're getting frustrated because it's not already here. But like it is, it's already here. It's already in you. If you want it, it's in you already.
And I love what you just shared about the words that are most important to you, your core desires, because that's how you show up in the world. You carry it in your vibration, the joy and the fun and the freedom and the movement. Like that's who you are. That's who I know you to be. So it's so beautiful that those are your desires. You recognize it in your life and then you embody it and you share it out with the world. And so just is so magical, just like combining all these, connecting all the pieces in this conversation. What you were sharing about the foundational piece the other day, we were actually having this conversation where I was sharing that over the last couple of years, there's been an element of like demolition where there's been things that have been released and cleared and transformed and like destroyed really to create space for the newness. And then there's been a time where it's like, okay, we're creating the foundation. And you actually pointed out to me, Aurora, that so it's like they lay the rebar and they're like, we're making the foundation. You were saying recently, it's like we're pouring I'm pouring the concrete in life. And like, I'm saying we, because it's, my whole team, it's not just me. And like my whole, the unseen realm, but also the support that I have in my life, which includes you ladies. And I'm so grateful for all of the support that I have. But yeah, it's like really creating that, like when we're creating the foundation, there's different steps to creating the foundation. And I loved what you pointed out, was like that now we're pouring the concrete, and I'm like, oh yeah, and then we're going to build on top of that. And I got stoked about that because that's usually after you have that concrete, then you're going to start building, then you're going to start, but it happens like one story at a time. It happens like the frame, it has to happen step at a time. The other analogy that came to my mind when you were talking about that is, and when you were referencing Tiffany's comment, was we're not just going to wake up one day and be like, I'm going to run a marathon today. That's just not a thing. You'd like probably die or be like extremely exhausted. You're probably going to make a training schedule and slowly work your way up. If you've never run before, maybe you're going to run and walk and alternate, and then eventually you're going to work your way up to running short spurts and longer and longer and longer. And it's not going to be like 0 to a marathon in overnight. And so I think that this can also help us to be compassionate with the, some of the less tangible things that we want to, and the tangible things we want to create in our life. But like our body wouldn't be able to withstand that amount of massive change. Like it wouldn't change fast enough for us to expect ourselves to achieve that massive goal that fast. And so can we give ourselves more compassion, and the other expectations that we have, can we give ourselves grace, and can we be a little bit more patient? That's been a really big theme for me lately, is patience with myself and staying the course, and having that patience in knowing that it's for the long game. It's not just like, okay, I want it now, which I think, we're in this beautiful technological age where we have so many things to give us instant gratification. There's also this practice that we have, we get to hone of like patience for certain things that, will take longer. And I think this also relates to how we can be, when we're in the spirit realm. And Aurora, you've pointed this out to me before, where, I come from some galaxy where things, and we're in the spirit realm, right? Like things manifest instantly. And then we come into this dense physical space, and it can be frustrating to some people, myself included, that it's not just happening faster. So yeah. different analogies that might speak to different people that are listening to help us, really open to having more compassion for ourselves and more patience.
Can I just share the secret though? We're actually speaking into the secret right now of patience. It's finding it in you already in the 0 point and expanding it out so you're not missing it. Then you can have the infinite patience because you're not lacking anything. And when you're not in lack, you ironically are magnetic for more of that, right? You already are it. So more of it's going to be a vibrational match for you, and it's already on its way. And it is that upward and expanding spiral of awesome. Whereas if you're focused on the fact that you don't have something yet, you're in this lack, this illusion of separation from it, because you already are it, right? If it's on your actual soul essence, it's already part of you. Then it takes forever to manifest in the physical, or at least it feels like it. So the key to relaxation in the body, relaxing the nervous system so things can be coming to you so much more quickly and gracefully, is just to all tap into what you already have. Like super, 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 super key. You already have everything that you need.
So it's not the thing, it's not the car, it's not the house, it's the way we're going to feel when we get the thing. Can we embody it now? Just like sum all that up.
I have another analogy that's come through for me too when thinking about this, because it's like, so we get this download, we have an awakening, our consciousness increases, so we have this information, but it takes time to embody it and do all the daily things to actually make that your reality on the physical plane. And it's like it's as if you were going to give a 5-year-old clothes for a 15-year-old. It's going to take them some time to grow into it. They can have them, but they can't, they have to grow into it. And I find it that if you can actually visualize yourself like needing to grow bigger, that's kind of what we need to do when we get that information. And it's hard in this earth plane to actually give ourselves that patience, as you were both speaking into. And I definitely was there too. Like a decade ago, I wanted it all now, and I am so glad that I didn't have it all back then, because I wouldn't have been able to contain I didn't have all the knowledge, and not no sorry I didn't I had the knowledge, I didn't have all the wisdom and the embodied experience that I needed to actually be able to be where I am right now, and all that life experience that I needed to have. Even though I felt like I could have it back then, I would have failed miserably at everything I'm trying to do right now, and it took time. And it doesn't have to take you 10 years because the energy is different now. It could be much quicker. Um, but I just always want to share that with people, because it is, yeah, that was a big sticking point for me. And I see that all the time too. We want it, we want it now. There was another piece that I was going to say, but I'm losing my train of thought on that one. And Aurora, you wanted to speak into expanding your creation container. What were you thinking about that?
No, it's just the phrase that you've used in the past that seemed so fitting for what you were talking about, growing big enough to hold it. And I love your story about when you energetically expanded your energy field, the things that you wanted just kind of dropped in there because there was finally space for them. So it's kind of like, again, adjacent to what we're talking about, not the exact same thing. But if anyone hasn't heard that story, I'd love for you to just tell it in a minute or two.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in one of the many wonderful programs that I was in with Aurora that she facilitated, she taught us about our creation container. And I had been feeling very, very frustrated because I wanted to expand and I wanted to grow. And I felt like I was really seeking it. And I was coming at it from this like foundation of lack. Like I wasn't getting something. I'm like, give it to me, give it to me. I want to know. I can feel there's information coming through, but I'm not getting what it is yet. And I was really holding on tightly. And then we practice expanding our creation container, and I expanded my light body, and I expanded it in my mind, visually through my imagination, so big it was like bigger than the world, bigger than, like, it went way out into space. And because I made space for this, there was room for all the information to drop in and all the downloads to drop in. And I, like, literally, also a precursor to this story, this was like in the summertime, I kept getting told, you don't need to worry, you will get this at the end of July. And this was like the beginning of July, when I was in mid-July, when I was feeling all cranky about this. And when this all happened, and when I expanded my creation container so I could make room for that stuff to come in, it was at the end of July, and the information came through, and it was like this huge download of like, I could have the potential to be like a best-selling author and sell a journal. And I got all these downloads for like how I wanted my journal to be, and so much information came through. And that, was such great confirmation that if I just listen and stop trying to control and force things to happen, and actually just go with the flow, like I was told, you can wait, you don't need to worry, you're gonna get this information. And it dropped through. When it said that it was going to, if I had just, I could have saved myself so much stress and anguish and stuff, because I was just being stubborn. But I needed that lesson. I couldn't have, if I would have just gotten that information before, I wouldn't have learned that lesson, and then I wouldn't be able to apply that to all my manifestations and creations now. So that is why we need these little lessons, even though we think that, it's like we're like little kids and teenagers. I know it all. You don't know more than me. It's like, oh wait, yeah, you actually do, maybe.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice for us to like trust the messages that are coming through for us. I had a message over a decade ago now when I was washing my dishes. I've probably told this before too on here, but it was like, you don't have to worry. And I was like, what? Because it was a disembodied kind of voice. Usually I get them in my head. It's like, you don't have to worry. Hasn't everything always worked out? I was like, yes, it has always worked out in the end. They're like, yeah, exactly. So why go through the worrying? You can just let that go. I would love to say, and I never worried again. After that moment, I listened to spirit. But no, it usually takes me years to embody the wisdom that comes through from spirit, right? It takes time. You have to grow into it. You have to get it into your cells, and you have to have experiences that prove it to you, because that's just how humans are designed. But with enough practice, enough evidence, enough truth, you can finally go, okay, don't actually have to fully worry about these situations. Now I barely ever do. And if I do, I notice, hey, this doesn't feel good. What's happening? And I can do the work. I can do the adjustments. I can shift my perspective. I can do what I need to do. But I really feel like this expanding your creation container took us to a spot that I did want to talk about, that I see a lot right now. It's people that are not fully leaning into how big their dreams actually are. It's not actually listening to the soul desires, the soul essence, the who you really are energy, because it's terrifying. It's terrifying to really think about how powerful we are. Was it Marianne Williamson was the one who said that beautiful quote of, it's not our light that, or it's not our darkness that frightens us. It is our light. It's our potential. It's our power. All of those things. It's our capacity for what we can create. I am paraphrasing wildly here, but it is terrifying. So when I was a kid, I kind of had the opposite of a lot of people. And instead of going, oh, I can't, I can't be much, I'm just going to be this small little being because that's all that's available to me, I somehow remembered that I was magical AF and magnetic AF. And I just had this knowledge that I could have anything that I wanted that would be available to me. And the programming that came through from society and from my ego that was trying to keep me safe and small was that I needed to keep my dreams very reasonable and very, very manageable, because I didn't want to be greedy. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to make people jealous. So it took a long time for me to deprogram myself from that thinking I needed to keep things small and safe and reasonable. And I had to start listening to what my heart actually was telling me and to what my soul was sharing with me about what my true essence was, what my true mission was, what I was capable of, because it just seemed too big. That's the fun part, is deprogramming ourselves from all of those. Keep yourself small to stay safe, to stay alive and not rock the boat. That's where I think most of us are. I'm seeing tons and tons and tons of hearts on the screen right now. People who it doesn't matter whether you always knew you were magic and you kept it small, or you were just told you weren't, so you kept it small, right? We're going to the same place, getting rid of everything that is not true about that and tapping into the fact that we are more powerful than anything else. Our essence is so freaking powerful, and that's been hidden from us from so long. And I'm really excited for this journey of deconstructing all of that BS so that we can be ourselves truly. And I think over the next 10 years, you're going to see a lot of people stepping into their full expression, and the magic that is going to come through that, the creations, the technology, the shift in consciousness. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so good.
I'm so excited for that. And I just have to share that in your creation coach program that I'm taking in part of, I did the intention setting ceremony last night, and it was so freaking powerful. First of all, I gave myself, like, I didn't intend to, but I just went with the energy and spent like 3 hours in ceremony with myself, and it was so glorious without any interruptions. And it was the evening, and as a mother after the end of a weekend, that's like the pinnacle of the best thing ever is having that alone time. But I just tapped into this, like, I can barely put it into words. It's just potential and this ability, and yeah, potential and possibility of like just putting down all of those old programs of just staying small and like really stepping into my soul mission of what I'm here to do. And I'm like, man, like, life is already amazing. How can it get even better? But there's this like really big, shiny and bright energy that feels just so radiant that I'm stepping into. And yeah, it's the cards that I pulled for it were so powerful as well. And also because I made the deck and I just love the cards and like to share them with people, I'm going to show you the beautiful artwork. Desire from Spirit, the Priestess within from Earth, Regeneration from Water, and Visionary from Air, and Energized from Fire. So this is like my future trajectory timeline that I am so excited to step into and share. And I actually have that Marianne Williamson quote on the altar that I made behind me in that white frame back there. Because it's really time for us to all. So I feel like whenever I'm connecting into it with this energy too, it's like for me and for in the collective as well, it's available. And especially with this month, we're coming up into the 11/11 portal in a couple of days, a wonderful day for manifestation and giving ourselves that opportunity to catapult into our next level of possibility. There is just so much energy. And yeah, thank you for holding space, for witnessing me, for sharing this. And it's like I can feel like creation moving within me. I want to be able to put it into words, but maybe I can't. And maybe, Aurora, I feel like maybe there's some light language that needs to come through out of this. Which is a great way to express something when we can't find the words in our language. It's just this energy that moves, these codes move, and yeah. I'm actually feeling more of a heart transmission, but
yeah, it was funny when I was tapping into what are we going to talk about today, and magnetism and soul essence. I was like, ooh, some light language would be what I think I wanted to share, because it is one of those ways of expressing beyond words, the sensations, the feelings, the emotions that cannot actually be adequately expressed in English. We will, I think, maybe offer like each of us just a little bit of our soul essence so that people can feel what that feels like. So you can like channel light language from other beings, other collectives, telepathically, that kind of thing. What I really would love for Nicole and Nina and I to do is just to share with you our own unique soul essence through the sound, maybe through some of the movements and through the feeling, and just to give people an example of what is possible. It's also, I've found, really magnetic. So every time that I speak light language, I either push people away, which is fine, that's what magnets do, or I draw them closer. People are going to be like, that's weird, I don't like that, that feels icky, like, and they'll make distance from me, and that's totally fine. It's just there's a dissonance in our energy fields, not discord, just dissonance. The resonance is not there, the vibrational match. But the people that do feel it resonant in their bodies are like, ooh, yes, more of that, please. What is that? And it's actually been one of the ways that I've increased my magnetism and my abundance. And I've gotten so many clients just by like sharing my soul tones, my soul essence, without holding back, without going, this is going to be too weird for people, I shouldn't share it. Like when I let all of that go and I started being like, this is what my soul sounds like. You want to hear? You want to feel it? All of the people, the places, the opportunities, the collaborations, the connections, they just flowed to me. This is what I mean about soul expression being magnetic. So I think that's a great idea, Nicole. I also feel like we haven't heard from Nina for a little bit, and I just want to ask if it'd be okay to invite you to share your soul essence first.
Absolutely. So for those of you watching, whether you're live or on the replay, we call everybody into this 0 point. We set this intention before we come onto the call so that you're all receiving these codes in this real time. And I'm speaking to anybody that's going to watch this at any point in time. And I invite you to take a deep breath and just receive whatever codes come through from these transmissions that we're going to share, and breathe them in and notice what you're feeling in your body. It doesn't have to make sense to the mind, just allow the essence to be felt. And yashkia nakasia roko makainia kalakaina ka o naikia shia sia nak onaikia riansana o ko manakia Niaka ro'o niakare shisi nikia ro'o niasia nakara kasiala nakateki nakaskara monoko pakia ni karako onoko para kaparakana tadaki nashkia si nakaraya ora na o mo.
I love what her soul sounds like. Let us know in the comments. And it's totally okay if that felt weird. If you're like, no, I don't like that, that's totally fine. Or did it feel familiar? Did it feel like home? Did you feel that somewhere in your body? Like, of course I love your light language because I love you, Nina, and you feel like home. Jenny's saying she's crying, so it was so beautiful. It just gives you the unbounded by words energy of who she is. And you know what? It sounds very much like how you dance. If you've ever seen Nina dance, you'd know what I'm talking about. I'd love for you all to feel the difference then when Nicole does a little bit of light language to share who she is. And I really want you to just feel, without judgment, how the energies are so unique. Even though we have a lot in common, all three of us, but it's going to feel and sound different because we're all unique individual souls.
Here we go. I'm having computer issues today. Nina, that was just like joyful and delightful to listen to. Thank you. So, however you wish to receive, with your eyes open or closed, just allowing yourself to let the sounds wash over. Yishimana kilamana shimana kilamana yamana kia. Ushimana kilamana kilamana yamana shimana kilamana shimana kia. Ishimana kilamana shimana kilamana shimana kilamana shu. Ushimana kilamana shimana kilamana shimana kilamana shya. Ekilamana kilamana shimana kilamana shimano. Ikilamana shilamana yamana kilamana shya. Ushimana. Shimana kilamana ya. Oh. Allowing yourself to breathe in those codes. In the land, for me, it's feeling very heart-centered in my heart. And I would love to know how that landed for you.
It's not surprising you feel that in the heart. I mean, that's kind of your whole thing. Heart expression, heart expansion, living from the heart coherence. So I felt that here as well.
I share the visual I got. So I got this visual I've never had before in a transmission. It's like all these gears, but in my heart, very golden, yellow, kind of light, but all these gears with all the words you were saying, it was like, chi, 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 like unlocking, 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 unlocking. It was so cool. Yeah, thank you. So beautiful.
I love that. Yeah, as you were repeating some of the words over and over again, it had that sensation as well to me. And I love Tiffany's just saying it felt like parts of the lower lenses or lower like chakra systems being invited to join what her heart wants.
So cool. Yay. I love that gear. Like, yeah, it's cool how everything can unlock and open and how we all have these codes that we get to share with each other just by being ourselves.
That's the really cool thing. And light language, it's very much like what people are taught that Reiki energy is. It can transform, it can clear, it can heal, it can activate, it can unlock soul memories, it can do so much because it's like your soul essence if you're channeling it through and from your own soul and not like some other collective or being. So let's do one more. I'll shoot. I love it. And I just want to invite everybody to take one more deep breath into their heart and feel. You can close your eyes or you can witness whatever my hands are going to do because they like to fly and dance as well. And light language can be toned, sung, spoken, signed, drawn, written, danced, and probably some other things too, right? It can be done in art. There's infinite ways that light can express itself. So I just want to share, if you're not feel like what is this light language stuff? In any one of those forms, and for us, we're using our voices and maybe our hands right now, it's packets of electromagnetic information that carry both thoughts and feelings. And it doesn't have to be interpreted by the mind, right? It can just be felt, and that's great. But you also might get visions, codes, downloads, things like that. Sometimes you can unpack those codes, but sometimes it's just like looking at a piece of art and getting sensation. So it's a great way also of practicing a non-attachment to needing to know, right? Kaya. Ke koya na ashke iriti kiyo moya. De oki ashkana aroti. He yoki. Namo. Yetishkana ayo. Kierteki shtana akomiate. Dio kaya ne ishkopo. Tiokia ne ishkotirna ayukoina. Yeokina ashko no verte kada ay. Yokiashtiki. De tiana ay gata. I mean, when I do that, when I really just let whatever my soul wants to do and slow down, that's a key for me, is to slow down into it. It feels so good.
That felt very good. I'm feeling a big activation in my throat, and it's almost as though there's like this white column of light moving through my central channel, and that, yeah, something big's happening in my throat. I can feel it.
I got the white light too. At first it was feel like Nicole said, serious mega goosebumps all over, like I had the full body chills. And then I started to feel like, oh, there's brain stuff happening here. It's coming up here. There's like white flowers that are blooming. And then it was like, oh, this light. And then it's going down through my central channel. So I love that you had that experience too.
I love that. And it's making me laugh because the very first soul painting that I ever got, way before this beautiful one from Stephanie Hassan, Queen Nefertiti, which I got this year, I had from Sedona, and it's right beside me. It's not even hung up. For some reason, I keep it on the floor. That's where it wants to be. So I want to show you because I think you ladies have seen it before, but it's probably been a while and you guys might laugh. Right? So I know the light is kind of cut on it. So, I mean, that's something my soul does. It brings through that light, that energy, that essence. And absolutely, it felt for me like I was, oops, it's fine. I was through expressing my voice, offering a permission energetically for people to do the same thing, to slow down and luxuriate in their own tones, their own essence expression, to feel it, to be magnetically themselves, right? And in a joyful, fun way. My cat also started singing outside when you guys started your light language. So she's like, hey, can I join? Can I share my voice? So love to hear from people. If you could feel the difference between our soul energies, how authentically we were able to express our essence, and how you could just feel that there was similarities between our energy, but also just that distinction, that difference that was our unique essence coming through. So if anybody is feeling like they want to level up their ability to share their voice, not only in English or whatever language they speak, but being able to share those light codes as well, I am going to be running my 6-week Unlock Your Soul Secrets with Light Language class again, starting on Thursday at 3 p.m. So the doors will be closing on Wednesday. I can leave a link if you're interested. We're going to go on this journey, and it's so much more than just light language. That's the thing. People are like, oh, I expected light language, but I got so much more, because it's about getting rid of the things that are just programs. Like I can't speak my truth. I can't be shiny. I can't make noise. I can't be myself, and connecting us up and into who we really are, and then practicing bringing it through. And it affects every level and layer of your reality when you are able to do that. It affects your manifestation, your magnetism, your ability to create as an artist, your ability to speak your truth in relationship, your ability to sell your services and make offers as an entrepreneur. Like, it's so strange at times to me that it's such a powerful tool for all of those things. But it's that and more. It taps you into your multidimensional essence expression. It amplifies your intuition, increases your telepathy, your ability to heal yourself, your ability to just share your essence with the world, which is, I think, what we came here to do. So I'm gonna grab that link for you, and I'll just throw it into the Facebook and the YouTube comments as well.
I love this course, and I'm so excited for all those of you who are going to follow their heart's call, their heart's desire, and jump on board and experience it with you. Just so magical and beautiful, exploring all the different ways to share and amplify our light. And I love also, I want to share, like, for those of you who might have been, your interest might have been piqued earlier when we were talking about belief repatterning. Aurora weaves belief repatterning into the course, actually into everything she does, which is amazing. But it's such a beautiful way to, you know, transform the beliefs around, like, oh, you know, if there's any beliefs, and I know for me there are and have been that I've transmuted, and there's more to continue to transmute. If there's any beliefs around, like, I can't express, it's not safe to share my voice, like any of that old ick that we might be carrying from this lifetime, from when we were younger, and also lifetimes before, like the witch wound, times when we were punished for sharing our light, for sharing our magic. The belief repatterning really supports us in not only learning just basically uncovering the magic and unlocking, as she calls it, unlocking your soul secrets with light language, but also peeling back those layers where there might be those conditioning, the stuff that's weighing us down, the stuff that's keeping us locked up with belief repatterning. So I love that aspect of the course.
I can confirm all of that. It was a lot of fun to take that course, and also, yeah, so powerful. And I love how I love when you think you're getting one thing and it's so much more than that. So if you're feeling the call, go do it. She's not paying us to say this. It was just lots of fun and super powerful.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for those testimonials. It was so much fun. I've done this. This will be the third time through in this forum, but I've shared it with a lot of different groups, and it just feels like every time it's expanded and shifted, and more codes come through. So there's a lot of opportunity there for people to explore. Even if you already know light language, you're like, oh yeah, I already have that. The thing is, there's a lot more that you can do with it. So I actually offer a free introduction class where you activate your light language. That's not even a part of what we do. That's already uploaded into the Kajabi, or you can just scroll through my YouTube and find the unlock your soul secret, or activate your what is it called? 3 secrets to activating your light language so you can speak from the soul. You can, I'll link that in this Facebook thing, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can just scroll down. It's just a couple videos below this one. So you can activate your light language for free if that's new for you. But in the course, we go deeper. We explore with it. We play with it. We see the textures and the levels and the layers, and really go deeper into the multidimensional essence expression and connection as well. So, oh my gosh, it's so fun to just like get together and sing and speak and share with my beautiful sisters here who, no, I didn't pay them for that testimonial. So that was great. Should probably clip those videos out and use them on my website for how awesome it is. But I know that witnessing you two through that 6-week program, Unlock Your Voice, was amazing, because you both had light language before and you had played with it lots, but it just like amplified it. So now you are these clear channels for your soul expression in that particular way. in so many other ways too. These ladies express themselves so creatively all the time, which is why I love you. So it's so much fun. Oh, interesting too. And yeah, some people are just saying there was a lot of unlocking with the activations that we did. Yeah, a lot of unlocking, a lot of remembering, but at the soul level, not the mind level. And I love that too. Lena's just saying that she has some resistance to light language, but barriers down is her mantra. And she's looking forward to learning because she's coming with me on that journey. I freaking love when people have resistance to something and they're like, oh, I better head in this direction because this is the thing for me. Oh my gosh, Lena, I salute you. So badass, seriously. And that is actually how you do it. That is how you do life. If you're like, oh, I don't know about that, go forward, go through. I mean, if you know that that's what the resistance is and not because it's like harmful and dangerous or something, but you can feel the difference. So, oh, it's going to be so much fun to go on this journey with all of you. And of course, we always journey together on these Monday afternoons, the illumination. We wound up going through so many different facets of accessing your soul energy and how magnetic it is. But I mean, we could talk about this for days, hours, weeks, months. We do a lot more of this in the playground membership as well. But I just wanted to let people know that in the Radiant Evolution free Facebook group on, I think it is the 23rd of November, we're going to do a workshop called Aligned AF. If you're not sure what AF stands for, just look it up. We just don't want to say it on Facebook because it's not great for their filters. And we're going to talk about 3 different ways to feel aligned AF, mind, body, soul, so that you can manifest and create with your soul essence and be magnetic and do the things that you came here to do and be who you came here to be. We're going to be going through probably about a 90-minute workshop with different facets that will be really, really, really supportive to where we're headed throughout the end of November and December towards the winter solstice, which is a really prime, powerful manifestation portal. So we want to support people in getting ready and aligned AF, body, mind, heart, and soul, so that we can co-create this beautiful world that we are wanting to expand and elevate right now, because the potential is there. I know the polarity is there. I know it's there. But look at the polarity of everything that you don't want and go, hey, like we were talking about, what is this showing me that I want instead? Right? It might be the opposite. It might be adjacent. It might be just not like that. But our creation potential is so ripe. And we love exploring it with you. Ladies, is there anything you want to share before we sign off for today?
Yeah, I just want to wrap it all up by saying we're always creating no matter what. So you might as well find what your soul desires and create what you want instead, rather than unconsciously creating that which you don't want. So you're going to get way better results out of it that way. So just, yeah, do everything we already talked about. But that's kind of like the summary of the why. Why do you want to do this all? Because we're always creating, and let's use that clarity from contrast and focus on what we'd rather create instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like we're just manifesting when we're just intentionally manifesting. We're doing it on autopilot all the time. So can we become a little bit more like conscious and aware of what it is that we are desiring? Again, going back to the desires and attuning that with our awareness, with our our consciousness. I wanted to share, to wrap it all up, that my face hurts from smiling so much because I just love coming on here and receiving all of the codes and magic from you both, and having this conversation. And I'm so grateful to all of you who are watching now live and interacting. We love having you here, and great gratitude to those who are watching later as well. We're so happy to have all of you in the community and a part of this conversation and a part of this co-creation. Really, that's what it is that we're all just adding our own light and our own frequency and magic to, just life and these online spaces, and how amazing it is that we get to connect across the world in these ways.
Yes. If you're watching on YouTube, if you don't want to miss one of these conversations or any of those like free classes that I throw up there, like activating your light language or doing some soulpreneur magic for manifestation and creation, just make sure you subscribe. You can like, you can share, you can get the word out, because I feel like more people could use some of these codes. We would be so appreciative if you do share or tag people that you think might actually need to hear some of this. If you're not sure why, doesn't matter, just go with the gut. All of the things that we're talking about today about manifestation, conscious creation, and alignment with your soul essence expression are because they allow you to create with so much more ease, so much less effort, and in alignment with who you really are, which is this beautiful, divine, shining star. We are all just slowed down light, just fractals of the universe coming to express and play and learn and grow and share and create as us, right? But together. So thank you, Nina, for bringing up how it is a co-creation when we're all here today. We pick up your codes, we play with them, and it's such a joy, such a delight. We love you all so much. We'll see you next week. Have a beautiful rest of your day.